It works because of respect and because we kind of stay in our lane. Like and maybe it works because he's the designer and I do everything else. So I think that sometimes, if maybe it were the other way, and I don't know, it works because we stay in each other's lanes and we respect each other's talents. And he invites my opinion. I should say, he invites my opinion, which I always say, why do you want my opinion? You're the designer. But he invites it, he respects it. I'm often, right. So it works out.
Well, teams win. And so I think those are elements of why it works. But ultimately, I think we have the same goal.
Yeah.
We have same goal, same vision. And so as a team, we work towards the goal.
Not to say there aren't frustrations, because certainly my, task management, sort of personality does conflict with his creativeness and, my desire to immediately please the client definitely, conflicts with his, creative time, that he needs to, absorb. I haven't absorbed it yet. I haven't gotten there yet. And now I have to relate that to the client. So that, does cost a little bit of tension, but I have to respect that because in the end, it comes out perfect. As a woman, that's hard. I think men are a little bit better at that, but I don't think it would be lovely to say, oh, it doesn't come into the bedroom, but it does, of course, because your tension is in your body and it's in your, it's all about what you've experienced in those, that day or that week. And so, I have to meditate a lot. I have to try to separate. It's not necessarily him that's bringing the tension though, it just could be stresses from the project. So
it's business. And I think that's kind of normal. And I think the real question is, so if we were working in different companies, you'd still bring home that tension.
Exactly.
The real question is, given that we're in the same company, we're experiencing the same tension, how do you filter that? And that comes up every day, I think. And the way I think we address it mostly is by having fun.
We laugh a lot.
Literally, you take the most intense thing and you diffuse it, or you use it to your advantage. Because she is always trying to get me to be on time. And that's not fun. That's very intense. But I appreciate her for that because I know that's one of my weaknesses. We went into COVID. And when we went into COVID, I hired a business coach. And that business coach told me to think a little bit about what made me different than everybody else in the industry. And, of course, my response initially was nothing. We don't do anything. And ironically, everybody caters to couples, but nobody markets to it. What I loved about the concept is it's really, you're talking about divergent perspectives.
We definitely, play good cop, bad cop, or we'll side with, I'll side with the husband, he'll side with the wife, vice versa, and try to just give them both. Everick will often say, why don't you let her have this and then you can have that. And sometimes that will, satisfy both of them. It just depends on the couple. We had a couple that had to agree on absolutely everything or they didn't do it. And it was terrible because he had great taste and she had terrible taste. Most of the time, couples will know who has the better taste and they will, go ahead and let that person have their way.
Yeah, but then there's also sometimes insecurities come into play. So even though one has better taste, you still may be sort of opposed to them winning. So I think what we do mostly is we mediate. And so when you understand the skill set of mediation, it really gets down to clear communication, making sure that everybody in the room gets a chance to speak, because sometimes it's about, I just want to partake. And so immediately when we meet a couple, you can always tell who has the great taste, who's dominant, who makes the decisions.
Who's caring, who's worried about the budget.
Yeah, and so what happens is that then morphs into us playing the role of ambassador. So the person who has the quietest voice or who doesn't get to partake as often, we kind of show up and represent for them. But in the end, it's always about the third perspective, and that's what we do best. Generally, we're probably having the same pulse or something. So
we get in the car and we're like, we just exactly are reading it back as, how we received it.
But not always. Sometimes I want to do something and she doesn't. So it doesn't always work out perfectly. But for the most part, even though I might want to do something, I'll clearly know that she doesn't. So it's, if it's a client, we might both go and interview a client and I come out like, oh my God, this is great. And she's like, nope. And I'll go, I knew you were going to say that. Sometimes I think tension helps create goals, right? So if you have tension and I want to do something and she doesn't, then I need to think about why and present it to her in order to get buy-in, right? So if I'm working on my own, I just go. I don't really think about it. I don't have to work through it. I just plow. But I think when you have a little tension and it stops to make you think, it inspires you to come up with a plan.
He's my family. He's my confidant. I admire him. I think he's fantastic at what he does. And I can 100% trust and count on him.
She said one word.
No, she didn't. I have one word.
I was teasing her.
You want one word?
For sure, she knows. I think of her as a sweetheart. And then under that is, all the host of things that come with it. But mostly, I think we're very similar in that sense. There's trust. She can be tough on me, but generally when she's tough, I'm looking at it as it's for my own good. So it's never she's trying to cut me down because, she wants to bring me down or she's not happy with me. It's, it's
like a home. I want to elevate.
Oh, whatever. You know what they say, if you find something you love to do, then it's not work. So I think often when people ask that question, I think about work. So yeah, it definitely bleeds into whatever boundaries you might set. But if you don't look at what you do as work, then there's a different perspective because I find great joy in what I do. So it's easy for me to do it through the weekend, through the night. Without feeling like I'm overwhelmed with work. But there are some times that we both look at each other and we go, okay, it's time to start drinking. No more work. But it's hard in this business, even if you're watching a movie, right? You're working. You're like, whoa, did you see that window treatment? Did you see that wallpaper? Yeah. Back up. That was a, whatever chair. Or it's, Lisa will tell me to settle down sometimes because at night I'm doing research on my phone, going through social media or reading articles. But, these are the things that inspire me and, get me excited about things.
We haven't been able to not bring the work to the bedroom. Like people say, I leave my phone outside. Like that hasn't happened.
The most amazing thing is to start with a couple who has challenges and then walk away with them being like, oh my God, this is fabulous. Who could have imagined that we could, pull this together, the two of us? Because one wants to spend money, one doesn't. One's modern, one's classic. You can go down the list, but I think the fun of it is looking back and seeing the effect that you have on a couple and their lifestyle.
Yeah. And hearing like one of our favorite clients that we've done 3 homes with just, said yesterday, she's like, I am so, so, so happy. I just love my house. So hearing things like that, of course, you have to deal with delivery issues and things like that. But at the same time, you know, we get to work with other designers in Kaleidoscope. That's an amazing experience, you know. So at the end of the day, it's all worth it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I was laughing about corporate America because what I didn't like, there are a lot of things I liked about corporate America, but during meetings, you know, if you know me, you know, I always have something to say. And corporate America didn't appreciate that. But in this business, I got somebody who appreciates it, I think.